Yes.
Everyone's looking good.
Great. I like your kimono.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome to Mamalogues.
Hello, welcome.
Today we are going to talk about, oh wait, I forgot our
Oh.
names. I'm Dani.
I'm Mary Beth.
And we are your Mamaloguers.
We're Mamalogues.
That's right. Today we're going to be talking about nannies versus daycare, or maybe a little bit of both. Maybe you do both.
Yeah, that's
childcare.
true.
How do you take care of your baby when you're not around?
Yes.
It's a real hot topic as well. I mean, I know it's a tough decision for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right?
It was, I would say, almost traumatizing.
Very traumatizing.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you're already, well, I didn't know this, but you're supposed to apparently look for daycares while you're pregnant. And I didn't really pay attention and realize that that was really important. So, which landed us in a daycare for my firstborn that was less than desirable, which we found out. And she was only there for about, I say 2 weeks. My husband says 1 week. It was a really traumatic time for us in general. But research the you-know-what out of it before you send your child to a daycare at that young age is what I would say, especially if that's what you're going to do.
I just took this card out of my hand because it was messing a lot. It was making weird noises that were bothering me. I have problems.
I think the word that you're looking for is high maintenance. I was making noises with our card for questions because I'm a twitcher, and I was playing with the paper with my finger, and I didn't realize that someone's sensitive ears.
Princess and the Pea.
Queen Mary Beth.
Won't you stop?
So I forget what I was saying.
Okay.
Because I was so rudely interrupted.
I rememred. I was listening.
It's like you can't see what's going on down here, and we could be doing anything.
That's true. Danny's wearing slippers, and they look like they're for I don't know.
They're from Victoria's Secret, but I've been accused of looking like a very much older version of myself when I wear them.
I would agree with that. I concur.
Okay, so what I was trying to say was, I'm trying to focus for you guys. Research everything, whether it's a nanny or whether it's a daycare. Find out everything you can.
And I want to know what was horrifying about this daycare.
Okay, so like I said, we didn't do a lot of really thorough researching prior to. So then it became difficult to find schools that even had space for her to go once she was 3 months old. And we came across this place, which I don't want to name, although I recently very randomly came across another pair of parents who sent their child to this school around the same time and had the same experience. So Let me start by saying Michaela was a very well-behaved child. She only cried if she needed to. So if she needed a change or she was hungry, that was it. Some babies, they say, who are they? I don't know. They cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. My child was very low maintenance, very loved her sleep, loved to eat, very calm, happy baby. So when we sent her to this daycare, they did not really pay attention to her. I would refer to it as neglect. She was neglected because she was well behaved and they didn't need to tend to her. She wasn't the kid that was crying all the time. So my husband would drop her off in the morning and take note of where they would place her in this one little chair, and I would come middle of day to breastfeed her on my lunch break. She was still in the same chair, and after 1 or 2 days, because I'm insane, I said, well, don't you guys ever move her from the chair? Is she always in this chair? And they said, oh no, of course we move her, of course we do. And I was like, okay. But after, not only that, there was that she seemed to be left in the same place all the time. I noticed that another child was in a swing type chair thing, and they had taken burp cloths and kind of stacked them on her chest and then had the bottle propped on there.
Oh my God, that's really scary.
So they weren't feeding the baby. And I said, is that, you know me, I ask lots of questions. I don't hold back. So I said, is that okay? Should that baby be like, oh yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, okay. Also, just a little heads up tip. You should never have to call a daycare to tell them that you're on your way. They told me, and I was naive and didn't realize that I had to call before I was coming. And now I know better, but
it's like saying, we're going to stop doing all the bad stuff 10 minutes before you arrive.
Right, that's the translation. It's terrible. So I would call them on my way to make sure she was awake because I wanted to nurse her. And I thought, like, that's clearly why they want to know.
Right.
And also, as a part of the paperwork that you signed at this particular school, you weren't supposed to send your kid when they were sick. But it seemed like every time I went there was, like, at least 6 kids who were just hacking and disgusting. Like, I mean, really horrible cough. And, of course, my daughter is 3 months old, came down with the illness that was going around the school right away, and she was home already in her first week. It was a nightmare. So my husband and I kind of did a little bit of research. I sent him over to the school to see if he could talk to another parent and see if they were uncomfortable like we were. And this parent was really strange and very defensive. People get defensive when you question where they're also sending their children. So
right.
We realized that was strange. I also tried to approach a lady who worked there, and she told me that the owner preferred them not to talk to the parents outside of the daycare. That was another red flag.
That's weird.
And then the final thing for me was that Michaela started to lose hair on the back of her head. If you do a little bit of research on that, when the child is left in the same place all the time, when they're this age, they're on their head like this, right? Because that's the only range of motion they have. So she was losing her hair because they weren't picking her up. They were leaving her there.
That's terrible.
So I'm getting chills talking about it now because it's like, just follow your instincts is my main point here. If you think something is wrong, say something. You know, we pulled her out immediately, and then we were like, what do we do now? And then we realized that maybe we needed more one-on-one care, and we decided to look for a nanny, which you also have done.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, I'm going on and on and on, but
no, I mean, I was curious because I haven't done the daycare hunt, and I heard that there are horror stories, and I was trying to figure out what those stories are.
Well, there are some daycares that allow children as young as, I think, 6 weeks in some cases. Some of them start at 3 months old, and some of them start at 18 months old. Mm-hmm. The particular school that Michaela was in originally started at 6 weeks, so it terrifies me to think that some people might have taken their kids there at 6 weeks, and they could have possibly been through what Michaela went through. We eventually, once Michaela was through, I think she got to be 17 months old when we were done with the nanny situation and moved on to daycare again. And this school that she went to was 18 months and up. So it depends on what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Some schools don't want to deal with infants and newborns. And we were just talking about this earlier. What age is considered newborn or infant still?
Right.
I guess airlines consider it 24 months or younger, but some people consider 18 months toddler. So a lot of schools will start at that point. But once again, making sure you research because, you know, it's your baby, and you want to make sure the place that you're sending them to isn't neglecting your child, or, you know, I've heard horror stories of.
But that's the thing with I mean, because we went the nanny route. I wasn't ready to put him in daycare because if I had been full time, it might have been a different story. But for 2 days a week. We had babysitters just to kind of come, like nannies, kind of as a mother's helper and stuff like that. But I was like, okay, let's get a nanny. I want to keep him in his environment. It's going to be weird enough that I'm not going to be there as much.
Right.
So that was scary because we had one babysitter, who we both know, who wound up
remain nameless.
Yes, who wound up being a little bit of a whatever, and she came upon recommendation, and I honestly would have I recommended her to someone. So you know, like I
recommended her to you.
Yeah, but she seemed great, and it's just like that's the point. That's what's so scary about it.
People can change, you know. That's especially in this town. Please.
She didn't do anything terrible. She was just super flaky, and then just said some really rude things, essentially. But I was freaking out because I was about to start teaching when all this happened. And I did care.com, and that really freaked me out with all the responses. We had some really big weirdos. I didn't have time to weed through it all. I have to say,
though, on the care.com, we did find our nannies that way.
You can.
Find nice people that way.
I know you can, but that was the problem. We didn't have time to weed through all of that.
You do get a lot of responses. You kind of, like I said, you have to be picky and kind of see if you can get some more information.
It was too much. Like, I wish they had a better screening process. If we had like a month advance, something like that, then I would have been fine doing it. But we were under like such time constraint that I finally just sent out a Facebook blast. And
oh really?
Yeah, that's how I got our current
That's really good.
Yeah, and she's great. And I knew her from before, doing something together with her, which really made me feel much more comfortable. But the other, the next step would have been going through an agency. But, they're very expensive. They're probably a few $1,000s.
I didn't even look into that.
Well, they're very expensive. And, we only needed someone part-time. If we were doing full-time nanny, I would have gone through an agency. I think, friends, word of mouth is still the best way to go. Because, that girl that was weird, but it wasn't like, I still was not like, oh my God, like, she's crazy and gonna run away with my child,
Yeah, I mean, we had a weird situation happen with our nannies. We had two. So they were identical twins. Let me start by saying that. So the first one we had was really lovely. She was the one that we found through care.com. And then she got another job and said, you know what, my sister is available and she's nannied before and we are identical twins. So your daughter, who at the time was, I think she was just about to turn a year, I think, when they transitioned. It was like 9 months, something like that. So we had the one girl with us for about 6 months, and then the other one was with us for another, I don't even remember how long. Anyway, timeline doesn't matter. We swapped them out, and Michaela hardly knew the difference because they look exactly the same, but there was a major difference in their style. So I always asked the first one, like, tell me if you're going to leave. Let me know when he ate. Text me, because she would text me when she. I totally know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
So
Who are my kids?
Yeah, who knows? What am I saying? So she would text me when Michaela was eating, and then I would go pump. So that way we were timed, like we were talking about before. She would let me know anything that was happening. Like, she would text me all the time, and I loved it because I'm a control freak. And we also had a nanny cam, which I don't know if you guys use a nanny cam?
We didn't because we knew the person, but I would have.
Yeah, I had, because we had never known her. We'd never known her.
We'd never known her.
We never known her. We did not know her, and we wanted to make sure, even though we did the background check, we had a copy of her driver's license, we wanted to be able to see what was happening.
I would have done it too, off of care, for sure.
So we had one in the bedroom, we had one in the living room, and we kind of tried to get the best angle we could so we could see what was happening at all times. And anytime I would check in, it would be the most boring things happening, like her watching TV or whatever. But she was always reporting back to me. The second one, however, was a little more lax in her style. She wouldn't text me if they went for a walk. I'd call the house. Nobody's answering. Where are they? Oh my God. You know?
Right.
So I kind of would get annoyed about that. And then the grand finale performance was her, long story short, getting caught taking my daughter on the roof of our building. And a neighbor approaching me in the garage saying, very concerned about your daughter. This is what your nanny was doing. And I know that because she was young, like, she wasn't really thinking of it and the dangers.
Why would you take?
Right. It was, and then let me just be clear: it was not a roof. It was like that you like go out and hang out, and there's lounge chairs or whatever. It's like an industrial roof with tar patches and satellite dishes, and it's really as the woman in the garage described it. It is no place for a child, and so. We had to let her go because of that choice that she made, because like we told her, we loved her, but she took a liberty with our child's life that was unacceptable.
Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it.
Right. So we couldn't risk her taking such a liberty again. And, it was really hard because we really did like have a nice connection with these two girls. And, someday I'll tell Michaela all about them and all the positive things. I don't think I wanted her to know the negative things, but I'm pointing that out there just because you never know what they're doing. So just be aware and ask questions and ask them to constantly update you if you have someone in your home who you haven't gotten through a family.
Yeah, I would 100%. I am all for nanny cams. I'm all for telling them that there's nanny cams because then they know. Right. I mean, that's my. I don't get that.
We never said anything. Is that weird?
I never told them because there's like illegal. There's something legal about it where.
Oh no.
I think it's something like if there's audio, then it's illegal to not tell them. But I regardless would just tell them because I'm like, then they know.
I don't remember. I think there was audio because sometimes we would hear her reading books or whatever. I mean, they weren't hidden cameras, though. I'm not talking like about a bear that's sitting around with a camera in its belly. Like, it was very obvious that there was cameras.
Right.
So I don't think that they didn't know.
I would just like during an interview, the next time one of the first questions I would ask would be like, "Are you comfortable with the nanny cam?"
that too. And I would also make sure you tell them what you want them to do. You know, I didn't have to ask the first one to do the dishes, like cleaning the bottles, and not our dishes. I'm talking about Michaela's dishes. But she just went ahead and did it. Her sister, not so much. So, I mean, everybody's different. And if you end up with identical twins like I did, like, where does that happen, right? Just make sure you realize that just because they look the same doesn't mean
they are the same.
Right.
Lesson learned about identical twins as well.
We're on to you, identical twins. It's all about communication when you have a nanny, in my opinion.
Yes.
Set your rules. Let them know what you need.
Yes.
You can be friends with them, but try to maintain a business relationship.
I have a really hard time doing that.
Me too. It's because we're Pisces.
Okay.
I think. I mean, I just like being people's friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's weird.
Boss.
Like, they're still people. Like,
right.
It's not like...
And they're caring for your child who you love.
Yeah, I almost prefer that friend dynamic. But, you know, and it's fine.
But then it can burn you with what happened with you because you thought that this person
was
really nice and then they end up being a monster.
She wound up walking all over me. That was the problem. Now, like, the current... First of all, actually, I think, like, our current nanny is... or babysitter, whatever you want to call. I don't know which title she prefers, but she's good because, like, she's very good at, like, keeping it, like, she's professional for me, even though, like, we talk and stuff like that.
Nice.
She's better at it than I am, but, but, you know, the other one, I let her walk all over me, and then, and then when I, for once, was like, no, you actually need to show up, that's when she wound up acting out on me, so, yeah.
Okay, so I think we're ready for questions.
Yes.
Is coming to us from Savannah H. She's also a blogger. As we've mentioned, our wonderful group of women who support us out in the world of blogging. Her blog is called mommyguidance.com. And her question is, how do you make sure a daycare is the right one for you and your baby? How do you make sure that it's safe and that your child is getting enough attention? Well, I think when you do your tour of your daycare, my daughter and son are both in daycare now, and the one that they're in, when we did the tour, you could just see that the kids were happy. You could feel it. And when you went into the first classroom, there is 18 months and up, and there's two schools. The program that Michaela started in was 18 months and up, and you could tell that the teacher was very attentive, that all the kids were very happy, everyone was smiling. I mean, of course, there was the random child crying or whatever, but everything was clean. No one seemed like they were being ignored. There seemed to be a good ratio of teacher to student. And also, you're there. It's comfortable to ask them questions. Like the director of the school was very open with the way the day-to-day would go, how much time they would get outside. And the best thing she said was, you can come by anytime you want. You don't have to tell us. All you need to have is your security thing to get in and out of the door.
See, and that's what I feel like every daycare should be like. Yeah. That's really sketchy to me.
Absolutely. That old one was like that. Yeah, I mean, lots of the schools will have an ADT security card for you to get in and out. That first horrific one that I talked about earlier did not have any of that. So that should have been another red flag. I mean, that's once again why it's be more educated than I was. Go and look at a bunch of different schools so you can compare. And then you'll find what you'll like, and you can find teachers that, kind of mimic your style of parenting. And I think that's really helpful. No products this time, right? Because it's...
Yeah. I
mean, I guess
like maybe you could say something that you bring to daycare, but...
I mean, a nice lunchbox, a sturdy, stable, nice lunchbox that fits all the things, because you might have to, And
I think Nanny Cam would be the other product.
Right. So, yes. A nice Nanny Cam that works, that you can access from your office or wherever you're working is very good. So that's our quick answer for products for today. No brand names, though, really.
No.
Mm-mm. Just good quality stuff.
Yes.
You'll find it. Go on Amazon.
Go on Amazon. I go on Amazon for everything.
Yeah. And people review the crap out of things on there. So
that's what's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's a wrap on Daycare versus Nannies. And someone dropped something outside, it sounds like. It got dropped. Okay. All right, guys. Until next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks.